Okay, I want you to picture something for a second. When you think about who first built America, the cities, the infrastructure, what's the image that comes to mind? Is it like Jamestown, Plymouth Rock?
That's the standard textbook image, yeah. Pilgrims, log cabins.
Exactly. But looking at these sources, that whole story feels, well, incomplete. We're doing a deep dive today into research that says the blueprint for the American city wasn't written in English at all.
It was written in Spanish, decades earlier.
And it's not just some historical footnote.
No, not at all. The sources show this 500-year continuity. It's a straight line from those first colonial city grids to the skyscrapers we see in San Francisco today. The argument is that Latino builders aren't just part of the story, they're the architects.
Let's unpack that, because we're not just talking about shacks. The documents mention actual legislation, these laws of the Indies from 1573.
Right, and this is a crucial point. This was effectively the world's first standardized urban planning code. While English settlements were kind of popping up organically, haphazardly,
The Spanish had a system.
a mandated system, this
Yeah.
plaza-centric model. They were even using geometry to orient streets for wind and sun, climate control.
So when you walk through a central plaza in, say, San Antonio today, you're basically inside a 16th century design.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It was urban zoning 400 years
Okay.
before we had modern zoning laws.
The engineering side of this is where I really got pulled in. I was reading about the material science down in Florida, St.
Yeah.
Augustine, right? 1565. They used a material called coquina.
Yes, as a type of sedimentary rock,
Yeah.
safely compressed shells. So when they built the Castillo de San Marcos, the British attacked with cannons.
Man.
Instead of shattering, the walls just absorbed the cannonball.
Like a giant shock absorber. That's wild.
It is. And you see that same kind of climate adaptation out in the Southwest, Santa Fe style, the adobe, the thick walls, the ventilation porches.
That wasn't just for looks.
No, it was engineering for survival. It was basically a passive HVAC system long before anyone had electricity.
And survival in the Southwest always comes down to water. The sources talk a lot about acequias. Now, to me, that just looks like a ditch.
Well, it looks like a ditch, but it's so much more. They're gravity flow irrigation systems. Imagine calculating the precise topography needed to move water for miles and without modern survey tools.
And it was social, too. The sources call them water democracies.
Exactly, because the community had to manage it together. Water wasn't something you bought. It was a shared resource, a shared responsibility.
Okay, so let's jump forward a bit to the industrial age, the railroads. We have to talk about the troqueros.
The railroad workers. The numbers here are they're staggering. Between 1880 and 1930, Latino workers were nearly two-thirds of all the track labor in the Southwest and Midwest.
Building the iron arteries of the economy.
And this challenges the whole idea of the transient worker. The research talks about boxcar communities, mobile housing that eventually just stopped moving.
And became permanent neighborhoods.
Yeah, in cities like Chicago, Gary, Indiana. They literally laid the tracks and then built the towns at the end of the line.
Which brings us to today. The story in the reading shifts from, pure labor to high-level design leadership. We start seeing names like Cesar Pelli.
The Argentine-American architect behind the Salesforce Tower, a landmark. Or Isabel Castilla, who was so important for the High Line in New York, turning old rail lines into a park.
It's a move into this high-tech modernism, but the scale of the labor force is still massive.
Oh, it's huge. Latinos make up 32% of the entire U.S. construction workforce.
And in states like Texas and California, it's over half.
It's a huge economic engine. Latino-owned construction firms are the #1 area for Latino entrepreneurship. We're talking over 70,000 different firms.
But the sources balance that with a much darker reality. They use the phrase perilous labor.
Yeah. And they point to the Francis Scott Key Bridge collapse in 2024.
A tough example.
A tragic one, but necessary.
Yeah.
The 6 workers who died that night maintaining that essential bridge, they were all Latino immigrants. This is paradox. The same demographic is designing skylines and also doing the most dangerous work to keep the country running.
It puts it all in perspective, from the 16th century plaza to the guys paving the highway in the middle of the night.
Right. And that leaves us with the final provocative thought from the research. If the first builders of this continent are also the demographic projected to be 78% of all net new workers this decade,
Yeah.
how does that reshape your understanding of who physically owns the future of the American city?